What's up, everyone? It's Dakota, and welcome back to another Magic the Gathering video. And we're going to be talking about the deck today that put the most players into the top 8 at Regional Championship Minneapolis. No, it's not Is It Aggro. No, it's not Jeskai Oculus. It's not even the Jeskai Control decks. It's actually the Azorious Omniscience combo deck for the standard format, putting 3 players into the top 8. And while it didn't win, it certainly seems like it has the tools to fight off one of the best decks in the format and one of the best cards in the format in Corey Steel Cutter. And so I would definitely want to kind of give it its flowers today because it was a deck that honestly surprised me, and every time it was on camera, it actually looked pretty good. It didn't seem like it was really that out of place or anything, and there was a lot of really good players playing it. So it's definitely a deck I think looking into and something that you have to prepare for if you're playing in these regional championships. But of course, before we get too deep into the Azorious combo deck, if you're not yet subscribed to the channel and you want to see more videos from me, where we post mainly about the modern and standard format, as well as some other longer form videos for your viewing pleasure, if that's something that interests you, please consider subscribing and ringing that notification bell so you know when those videos get posted. It's a very easy way to support me and my content. And if you want even more content, you can go down in the description down below, join the Discord server in the link down there. You can go over to twitch.tv/CrowdA23. Throw me a follow over there. We're trying to stream a lot more here. May is going to be kind of a crazy month, but we're going to kind of try to stream wherever we can, playing a lot of modern there, maybe getting into some of the online challenges. So that'll be something to watch. Not a total train wreck, I suppose. Of course, we also have a podcast called the Casual Spikes Podcast YouTube channel, where me and my co-host Randy, or MTG with Randy, talk a lot about the things going on in competitive Magic, mainly through the modern and standard formats. We go over different events, what you should be looking at when going into the event, the expected metagames, and of course, doing reviews of those events kind of after they happen. So definitely go ahead and check out the channel. We're trying to get to 100 subscribers by the end of the year, so I would greatly appreciate it if you checked out the channel. Lastly, I want to thank the sponsor of the channel, Manatraders. Manatraders is a monthly subscription service where you can essentially rent and play whatever decks you want for whatever formats you want. I use it a lot for playtesting, obviously, and streaming on this channel as well. I really like the fact that I can diversify what decks that I play, as I'm someone that doesn't necessarily like to just pick up one deck and then play it no matter what. I kind of like to get a feel for a few different decks before I decide on what I want to play, and Manatraders makes that super easy by just getting to swap out whatever decks I want at whatever time I want to. Again, if you use my code in the description down below, you'll get 5% off your monthly subscription. They're a great service. You end up getting rewards the longer you subscribe to them as well. So I'd like to thank Manatraders for being a sponsor to the channel. Now let's go ahead and talk about this Azorious combo deck. So the Azorious Omniscience deck has a pretty weird win condition. It's relatively convoluted. So the first step in doing this is obviously getting the namesake card Omniscience into play. Omniscience is a 10-mana enchantment that says when you cast the spell from your hand, you may cast spells from your hand without paying their mana cost. So this is obviously a very powerful enchantment. This is a very powerful ability when you essentially get to, skip tapping your lands for mana to cast spells. You can just essentially cast however many spells you want. And with the type of cantrips and things like that we have in this deck, and some of the powerful spells that we have, this ends up being a very, very, very powerful ability. But 10 mana is a lot of mana, and in blue-white, there's really no ramp, especially in the standard format, that you really want to be playing while also kind of maintaining a proactive game plan. So we have to cheat this into play. And the best way that we have to do that is this card's Abuela's Awakening, an X3 and white sorcery that you may return target artifact or non-aura enchantment from your graveyard to the battlefield with X additional +1/+1 counters on it. It's a 1/1 spirit with flying in addition to its other types. So there is kind of one problem with this. It's the fact that it turns the Omniscience into a 1/1 creature, meaning that it is vulnerable to some removal spells. Obviously, if you end up casting it for X is more, you can put more +1/+1 counters on it and kind of take it out of range of like kick burst lightnings or bargained torch the towers and things like that. But in general, one of the a secret tip that you can kind of avoid getting blown out by a removal spell is if you have another Omniscience in hand, the first thing you do after Abuela's Awakening resolves, your opponent's not going to have priority to remove the creature unless there's somehow another trigger that goes on the stack from it entering the battlefield. But you can actually cast another Omniscience from your hand with the Omniscience creature on the stack. And if your opponent doesn't have a removal spell, then you just have 2 Omniscience in play, and you're kind of insulated further from your opponent destroying one of them. But on top of that, too, if they do have a removal spell for it, well, you're still going to end up with Omniscience in play, and you're going to still have priority to cast at least one free spell from this deck. So that's kind of step 1, is getting Omniscience into play. Step 2 is finding 2 Meringue River Regents, a 6 mana, 6/7. I'll scroll up here a little bit. Flying, when this creature enters, you return up to 2 other target non-land permanents to their owner's hand. So you need 2 of these because you need to be able to essentially bounce themselves, and then you can bounce 1 other thing, which comes to our win condition, Founding the Third Path. This 2 mana saga has the ability to read ahead, which allows you to essentially choose whatever chapter that you want to start on, and the main thing that we're going to be looking at is the chapter 2 of Founding of the Third Path, which says target player mills 4 cards. So with 2 Meringue River Regents and a Founding the Third Path, we're able to cast the River Regent for free, bounce the other River Regent and the Founding of the Third Path. We're then able to replay it, again, all for free. Put it on chapter 2, mill our opponent for 4 cards, cast the other Regent, bounce the original Regent and the Founding of the Third Path, and just kind of go through this until our opponent runs out of cards. And of course, they're going to end up drawing a card from an empty library. We do have to pass the turn, so they are going to have their mana in their upkeep, so definitely something of note because it did potentially come up in the one of the matches late in day 2 where the opponent had to untap and they had like 5 mana, they're at 4 life, so they could have burst lightning their face and potentially won the game. Didn't seem like it was really in danger of that happening, but that is a situation you could find yourself in, so it's just something to kind of keep in mind if you decide to pick up this deck. But, that's essentially what we're kind of looking for. It's a 2-step process. We're trying to get Omniscience in the graveyard so we can use Abuela's Awakening to bring it back, and then we need 2 River Regents and a Founding of the Third Path to end up winning the game. So what is this deck doing to even get to that point? Because we obviously know that Izzet aggro is a very fast aggro deck. Mono Red still kind of running around in there and still able to kind of win the game on turn 3 and turn 4 relatively easily. We have Jeskai Oculus, which is putting big flyers into play that are going to deal chunks of your life total, and really, those are probably the main ones. Core Steel Cutter is a heck of a card, ladies and gentlemen. So this deck is looking to, for one, play cards like Moment of Truth, which got compared to things like Expressive Iteration. This is for 2 mana, allows you to look at the top 3 cards of your library. You put 1 of those cards in your hand, 1 in your graveyard, 1 on the bottom of your library. This is a way that you can dig 3 cards deep. You end up getting a card to your hand, probably an Abuela's Awakening, maybe a Stock Up, or even another Omniscience to kind of set up those turns where you're just going to go bring back Omniscience and then replay an Omniscience. And then you put another card on the bottom of your library. You're not really going to have many ways of shuffling, so that card's essentially just going to be there forever. So you can just know that you're able to get a little bit more information when you're kind of digging and looking for certain things. There's also Confounding Riddle, that for 3 mana, you can choose 1, look at the top 4 cards of the library, put 1 in your hand, put the rest in your graveyard. This is, again, another way that you can dig deep for a card. You can end up getting the Abuela's Awakening to your hand, and guess what? If you have an Omniscience in there, it's going to end up going to your graveyard rather than going on the bottom. It can also act as a counter spell when you need it. Paying 4 mana is a huge cost for a lot of decks. Even some of the other decks that are trying to play, a bunch of 1 and 2 mana spells, paying 4 mana is essentially a counter in most parts of the game. We have Afar's Dispersal, which is a card that has looked amazing all weekend. This card costs 2 less to cast. If it targets an attacking creature, you can return target creature to its owner's hand and use Surveil 2. So this is essentially 1 mana interaction for a lot of those aggro decks. Pouncing a Slickshot Show-Off or bouncing a Heartfire Hero is absolutely brutal, especially when you've essentially committed cards to it. It's maybe a little less brutal in the Izzet decks than it is Heartfire Hero in the Mono Red decks, but in either case, it's still pretty devastating. And the Surveil 2 is really nice because, again, that allows you to potentially put Omnisciences into your graveyard or just even get redundant lands out of your way so you can go and try to find some action against your opponent. Stock Up has looked absolutely amazing in this format. 3 mana, look at the top 5, put 2 in your hand, the rest of the bottom of your library in any order. It's great in the aggro decks, and it's certainly great here in our Azorious combo deck. We also have Roiling Dragonstorm, which allows you to draw 2 cards and discard a card when it enters, and if a dragon you control enters, you return this enchantment to its owner's hand. You can just play Meringue River Regent as essentially a way to win the game, and just getting to bounce 2 of your opponent's permanents while also getting to pick up Roiling Dragonstorm is really nice because, again, you need 2 River Regents anyway, so the fact that you have 1 and then Roiling Dragonstorm is able to kind of continue to dig while also putting cards in your graveyard to again set up Abuela's Awakening is really nice there. Lastly, here's 4 Temporary Lockdown. This is an absolutely amazing answer and probably the best answer for a lot of what's going on in the Izzet decks. 3 mana, when it enters the battlefield, you can exile each non-land permanent with mana value 2 or less until Temporary Lockdown leaves the battlefield. Wipe away all the Monk tokens, get rid of the Core Steel Cutters, get rid of the the Swift Spears, get rid of the Storm Chaser's talents and the tokens, getting rid of the Slick Shot Show-Offs, all that stuff, get it underneath the temporary lockdown. This card is absolutely amazing, and if your opponent is able to get it off of the battlefield, they're going to have to essentially assemble lethal very quickly, a lot of the times through multiple pieces of interaction, or this temporary lockdown is just going to come down again and basically put them right back where they were, except down a card because they needed a card to obviously bounce the temporary lockdown. The mana base, not too much exciting going on here. We have Articar Waste. We have 2 Blast Zone, which is hanging out here at the bottom, which is a pretty nice way of dealing with a lot of the non-token cards, because this is going to come in with a counter anyway, so you're not going to be able to blow it up and blow up the tokens, but this is also kind of an answer in your mana base for cards like Quarry Steelcutter. We have 4 Flood Farm Verge, we have 4 Island, 4 Meticulous Archive, the blue-white Surveil Land, we have a Mistrise Village that allows your next spell to not be able to be countered, and then of course 2 planes for Seachrome Coast. In the sideboard, Ghost Vacuum is a heck of a card for the mirror match. We have Change the Equation, which is a really nice counter spell, countering a target red or green spell with mana value 6 or less in a format where there's a lot of red and green decks kind of running around. This is a really nice answer to them, while also still being a nice counter spell early on. Get Lost, really nice interaction. Negate, 2 Voice of Victory. Your opponents can't cast spells during your turn is absolutely huge, so you're able to bring it back and not have to worry about having a redundant Omniscience for potential removal. Your opponent's going to have some kind of onboard damage dealer to be able to get rid of it, and more than likely, they're just not going to have that. 2 Clarion Conqueror. This ended up being absolutely amazing. A dragon, so you can bounce your Roiling Dragonstorm, and also just shutting off the abilities of artifact creatures or planeswalkers, meaning that you shut off your opponent's Ghost Vacuums, and you also have a 3/3 body for 3, which ends up being really nice and does kind of close out games relatively quickly. 2 Beza for the aggro decks, Day of Judgment, and 2 Overlord of the Mistmoors, because this is also a really nice card to kind of cast for free. You also don't mind impending this as well. This is a way that you can kind of get towards like the late game and kind of keep control of the board, and just putting flyers in the way of something like a Slick Shot Show-Off is very annoying, because even though there's a good chance you're going to end up taking a lot of damage, there's a good chance that your 2 flyers are just also going to take out the are going to be able to take out the Slick Shot Show-Off, which is really important against the Izzet decks. And yeah, that is Azorious Omniscience combo for the standard format. This is probably a sleeper in the format. I think that this deck is really well positioned, because even in a sea full of aggro decks, it had found tremendous success, put 3 players into the top 8, and ended up actually performing very well in the late stages of the tournament. So definitely a deck that you need to be prepared for in this current standard format, of course, along with all the other Izzet and Just Guys stuff going on. But that's going to do it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed it. If you did, please consider leaving a like on the video. Comment down below what you think of the Azorious the Azorious Omniscience combo deck, and what deck that you would like to see featured next on the channel. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed it. I hope to see you all in the next one.